up. We're live. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Yeah. No, thank you for driving up here.
Well, halfway.
Halfway.
That was actually okay.
The full way, I think.
Legally, I couldn't have.
They don't patrol for that though.
Dude, you know, I'm legally. I like
The
what we do.
only reason I'm not pushing you harder is because you're not a citizen yet.
No, I cannot break the law, or I will get deported.
Yeah. But yeah, here we are.
Here we are. We're not in my girlfriend's basement.
Yep, we're in my my apartment up in Squamish. Maybe we should just cut the banner and just go right to the topic here.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Religion.
Religion.
You have. I think you probably have. You were a missionary.
That is a loose term. I went on a mission.
That is the term you told me.
I went on a mission trip.
Okay, doing what? Where?
To China, 2007.
Where in China?
All over. I will butcher the names, but Fuzhou, Chengdu, Beijing. We stuck more to the Hong Kong for a brief stint.
Yeah.
But yeah, we stuck more to like country towns as opposed to the big cities.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was interesting. So
what religion was this?
Christianity.
But like which branch?
Baptist.
Baptists are the hardcore.
What?
Baptists are the hardcore ones, aren't they? Well, okay, let me. In the States, it's the Westboro Baptist Church. Those are extremists.
But that
Extreme
is
Christians.
a very extreme case of an extreme church.
Okay, so not the flavor you were in.
No, not at all. I actually liked my church because all the other churches played like hymns, but my church had like a band, like rock and roll,
Legit band.
Praise the Lord, like that. You know.
That's what I mean. Is like
Yeah, that was
Baptists have an extra layer of energy.
I just think it's a.
Like, I was raised Protestant, right?
Right.
Which I would describe as Christianity light or diet Christianity,
Right,
because
right.
there was no mention of hell. It was all the
Right, all the
lovey-dovey,
good
like,
things.
you know, God will forgive your sins. There's a heaven, but there was no mention of hell or damnation.
So like, why would you be a Protestant then? It's like this is all good, but if you don't do it, you'll still get
I don't
here.
know. I never questioned it. I was sort of
one does.
indoctrinated into my religion, as you do.
As most people are. Yeah, but Baptist.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Baptist because, like, I had friends that were like Catholics or like Anglican, and like their churches were just like old, like popey, you know, like the robes and swinging like smoke balls and like. You know what I mean? Like
wrinkly
ours,
skin
and like wafers.
Mothballs.
Like we got bread. Like we got grape juice. Like we got some good stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
you didn't get the wine.
Nah, I didn't want it.
You didn't want it?
Well, I was 10, 11, 12.
Yes.
Like it was a child.
Fair enough.
I liked that. Like even though church was so boring for me, it had times that it was fun. But I was always glad I went to a Baptist church and not like a Catholic church because they looked. Like it was like we were in a new building. We had we had a band. We had speakers.
Right.
Like Catholic churches were like old and
They smell funny. Yeah.
like it's like okay, I can't jam out to that.
That's how my mom sings
Yeah.
when she plays piano. It's very like.
How are you meant to?
It's like
You can't praise the Lord like that, man. You gotta
that's
rock out.
how you praise the Lord.
No, sir. No,
Yeah.
sir. What are
It's
your
very
thoughts
holy,
on
holy, holy.
what?
So
What's
you
your
had-
experience?
My experience, same thing. No, like
Yeah.
lots of old people. There was a youth group, which the youth group leader actually, shout out to Jeff.
Jeffy.
He great.
I'm sure he's a
He
great
ran
guy,
the youth
man.
group, but all of the older ladies hated him.
The hated Jeff.
Well, he was, I think, 18. I was maybe 10, 11, 12. I spent about 3 years, I think, in that youth group.
Not sure. When talking about age gaps that large, you should do this. But go on. Keep going. Big Jeff, we'll call him now.
Yeah, so anyway.
Keep it together, Jeff.
I lost my train of thought, man.
So Jeff,
Yeah.
you're like, why do the old ladies hate
so
Jeff?
like he would just always act out, right? Whenever he had to come to the front or sing in the choir, he'd always put on a bit of a bit of a
Bravado,
show. Yeah.
yeah.
He was kind of like Jack Black. Like he looked like Jack Black and kind of acted. He had this
Right.
attitude. Yeah.
and they just didn't like him.
They're like he's so immature. I'm like, well, yeah, he's like 18.
You're 45. Like, yes, there's gonna be a maturity.
You elected
difference.
him to this position. Like,
It's called youth group. Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, yeah, he's young. He's a youth.
yeah, but it was a formative, thing for me. That it was the one redeeming factor of church, because all of church was there was a lot of singing of songs, so a lot of like songbook stuff. Yeah. But I feel like the minister would give like 2, maybe 3 boring speeches. We'd sing maybe like 4 or 5 hymns.
Yeah.
And then
That's
we'd get
church.
sent down to youth group.
Yeah, that was the best moment of church. Where it was like,
I
all
know,
right,
thank
Sunday
fuck.
school, they used to
Yeah.
call it. Sunday school kids, you can leave now. And
Yeah.
it was like, because I used to just go out back and have cordial and just play outside. That's what Sunday school was.
Have cordial?
Like cordial. Like,
Was that like booze?
no, like lime cordial, and you pour water in it and you have a drink.
Oh, is it a tonic water? We don't
No, it's
have
just like
cordial here.
What?
We don't have cordial.
You don't have like a flavoring that you put a little bit of, and then you pour water in, and then you have a drink of that flavor.
Yeah,
Don't
we,
have-
we just don't call them cordials. But now I understand
what
what,
are
you're
they
talking
called?
about. I don't know. Just like flavor packets?
It's like Tang.
Yeah, it would be some brand.
powdered.
Yeah,
It'd just be
we don't
powdered
have
here.
inventions. We have brands.
Oh man, Coddy's cordial. That's the jam. Lime
Okay.
Coddy's cordial. People know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
No one's listening.
No,
No one's listening.
nobody's listening.
But yeah, no, Sunday school was alright. I remember I had a choice. I mean, I had to go
Yeah.
to church till I was 16. And when I was 16, I was allowed to make the choice to go or not go. So I immediately stopped going. The day of my birthday. I just did not go anymore. But when I was like 19, I had like a coming back to God moment for about 6 months where I was like hardcore Christian.
Really?
Yeah, it was just,
This is when you went to China?
no. I was 17.
Oh, you were 17.
No, I was just like getting hand jobs behind school. Like I didn't care about Christianity at all. Okay. And by 17, I'd been away from the church for like a year. Just discovered what girls are. Like,
Right.
yeah, I wasn't living a holy life when I was on this mission trip.
Are you insinuating that girls took you away from your holy life?
No, I left my holy life and discovered females.
Oh, okay.
Like everyone does when they're 16, 17. You're just
Right.
like, oh, there's this whole other sex that aren't annoying now. Well, still annoying, but
They're still annoying.
still annoying. Less annoying.
That's going to get clipped.
That's fun.
Nah, no one's watching. Sup, man?
What's up, dude?
Shay, do you want to be in our podcast sometime?
Yes.
Okay. Cool, man.
But not this time.
But not right now.
Fair enough. We're talking religion. Anyway, yeah, tell me more about your China missionary
It was just
mission.
great. It was paid for. I think the church and my dad paid for it, so it was a free trip to China. There's one, so that's actually the only reason I agreed to go. My sister had gone and my dad paid, and then my older brother had gone as well. So I was the youngest. I knew it was coming. It was my time. I was excited for it. Didn't pay for anything.
Was it successful? Like, did you actually?
I don't know.
Did you convert anyone? Like, what do you do on a mission?
You don't know. So you have essentially you have like a sheet like this by this big. I don't know how to explain that. Like 3
sheet of
A3
paper?
shape it. But imagine like 3 A3 stacked on top of each
Okay.
other. Like that big. Like
Okay.
And then that's all folded up to about the size of a business card. It's like a thick little business card with a rubber band around it. So, not that thick at all. Maybe like, I don't know, a couple of millimeters thick. And what we would do at like 2 o'clock at night, we would like sleep, eat, whatever. Then like 2 at night, we'd go around and we would like put these things like under people's doors because they were like so. And my dad, I think that was my dad's 3rd trip, man. And it was like he had them like ninja stars. Like he was fucking good. Yeah, he would go from ages
them under
away.
the
He would just
door.
go, "Sk," and it would just go, and it would just like hit like a meter out and just
Yeah.
go, and it would just like go perfectly under. But it got like he was hitting bicycle baskets on the move.
Oh
like
my
he was just like literally like bikes with a basket, and he would just be like,
Yeah,
and just
that's-
like plop it into their basket.
That's missionary boss level.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So so that was if we were in a city, we would go around at night and just do this. Never hit in the same neighborhood. We wore all black. Like even though we were, it was like 3 extreme
ninjas.
White. No, we were white as shit, dude. So we were like big white. I had blonde hair, which sticks out of everywhere, and we were just meant. Yeah, nothing to see here, officers. Like, just three white
Oh, right.
people.
It's illegal, right?
Yeah, it's illegal to preach
Yeah. This.
religion over there.
Yeah, the government doesn't want fucking foreigners coming in and
Not
shoving
at
their
all.
religion.
No, not at all. And
Can you blame them?
what we know now,
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it in 2007 and not
Yeah.
now. Anyway, we won't talk about China. We are talking
No, this
about
isn't about China itself.
No,
but
this is
it's
about
your mission.
them stifling choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. And then going from like a new town to a new town, we would sit in the back of the bus and we would take it in turns because buses, like they would have like a little opening in the window, but only in the back seat.
Okay.
Just for, I don't know, people to throw up or whatever. So we'd always get, if there was someone sitting there, my dad would literally like pay peasants like $5 American. Like, hey, can I sit there? And they'd be like, oh yeah, dude. And they would like move. And then he would just have like a backpack that you'd bring around full of, we called them tracks. It's just like leaving tracks behind. I don't know.
Tracks?
Tracks, like Tracks.
Yeah.
Like the little Bibles, they were just called tracks.
Oh, okay,
So if I
okay.
refer to tracks, that's what I mean.
Tracks back to God.
Tracks, yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. But anyway, so on a bus, like I did it a couple times. I wasn't as good as Dad, but he would just sit in the back seat of the bus, and then me and my brother would sit like next to him and like cram him and like kind of cover him, and he would just sit there and like when the bus is going through rural towns, he would just be like doing these like probably 30-meter bombs and just going whoosh, like flying bus, just going and just like hitting like. And he would just sit there and just like, boom, new house, boom, like just throwing these ninja star of these tracks, just spreading the word of the Lord like a ninja. And yeah, dude, it was a great experience. It was really fun. Yeah, it was free.
Insane, man.
It was fun. It was an experience. Glad I
Just
did
drive by like
it. Just drive by ninja star
Yeah,
Bible, literally
yeah.
throwing Bibles at people out of a bus.
just God extending his hand to that
Yeah,
person
dude.
in the moment. Just like
Yeah.
save yourself.
My dad, like, he totally made a game of it. Like, he would, if it was like people sitting, if he sat next to someone on a bus and their bag was open, he would literally like go, and like he was playing with fire by
That's
the end of it.
so
He got very
sneaky.
cocky, but he was good.
Did he ever get caught in his entire life?
A few times, you just walk away. Well, so we started with me, my brother, and my dad, and then another group of 3 guys, all from the same church. And me and the 2 other guys, not my brother and my dad, we got busted at the border in Hong Kong with backpacks full of tracks. So you know how like you got like your suitcases and then you have like that liner in the bottom?
Yeah.
So we, in vacuum sealed bags, we had tracks. So on an X-ray, which
Why vacuum sealed?
just for paper, I don't know, smell, sniffer dogs.
Right.
I have no idea. It was pretty so
They can sniff
because
out the
they
Holy
would no
Bible.
because it was paper, right? So they all
Right.
got like compressed. So
Yeah.
we would, I think,
Don't
I
get
had-
moisture in
each
there.
sheet I think was 400 tracks or
Right.
200 tracks. I can't remember. I had 2 sheets. Like everyone had 2 sheets.
Yeah.
And that's what we went into China with, and we would just use those tracks. And once they were gone, we pieced. But 3 of us got caught at the border with tracks. So my brother,
Yeah.
my dad went through, and we were watching on the X-ray screen, and like the tracks are like, you know, business cards. So imagine seeing under all these clothes, like block, 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 block. It like looks like
Looks like
either
drugs.
or explosives. It's exactly what it looked like. And we were watching it, and my dad's went through, and then like my brothers went through, and I was like, oh my God. And you can see them. And I was just, oh God. And I was at the back with the other 3 guys. And then, so 3 of them got through, got their bags out
Yeah.
of the scan and made it like into China. Like essentially that's the last stop. We flew into Hong Kong. This was like customs clearing your bag to be in China.
Right.
So, but still technically Hong Kong,
God.
which saved us. So the 3 of us, we got called over. They held our bags, and they came up, and then we got like taken away into this office, and like no one spoke English at all. There wasn't an interpreter. Like it was just, yeah, it was not a language I knew. So it was just you know, a bunch of yelling and
Miscommunications
and we
and
were
just like
I was like, what do we do? And then
That's so
luckily it was
stressful,
my
man.
dad's friend who I knew fairly well.
Yeah.
He was just like, don't worry about it. Like they're just going to confiscate it. And like, he was just like, just don't worry about it. So then they were like,
What
sign
happened?
this. And they're like, and he was just like, just scribble it. They don't know what your signature is. So I was like, okay, just scribble. And like, it didn't take that long. Probably within 45 minutes, we were on our way, but they just kept them. They kept the track. So we lost half.
Half of them.
We lost half. But
that's not necessarily a bad thing.
the route burned. But it did turn out that we had what we brought in was like we only just got rid of them at the end. So we brought in way too much to start. Praise the Lord. That was a sign. Or that's how it was interpreted anyway. But it was a fun experience, man. So busted at the border. Went into a little. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Did you actually get a sense of the culture and the places you were in, or because it kind of just sounds like you're doing a drive-by shooting, so to speak?
I would say probably more than most. Like, if someone goes to China, they're probably just going to go to Beijing and just stay in hotels for 2 weeks.
True. Yeah.
I feel like I got way more out. Like,
did you go to like local restaurants and stuff?
Like we went to tiny towns. I had blonde hair at the time. Right. I was 17 and I got my tips done, as you did in 2007.
Back in the day.
So I was already blonde, but had like blonde tips as well. So I on all these small towns, did not pay for a meal. I was like a freak or like an anomaly.
Wait, they would just give you free food?
People wanted photos with me. People were like, I would by the end of it, so we split off, like my dad and then the other 3 guys, and we met back up.
Yeah.
When we met back up, there was another guy who was a bit older than me, but he had the same thing, and we were talking about it, and we were like, yeah, no one paid. Like, yeah, no, they love us because we're just like 2 young white dudes with I don't know. And when we met up at the end, we were just like, and then we were walking, and we would just bomb everyone's photos with the peace sign. Random people just taking groups of themselves.
Oh, they'd love that, yeah.
And they were like, oh, get in. Yeah, it was great, man.
Yeah.
There was a few times we went to a restaurant and we would eat, and then we were like, and then my dad and brother would pay, and they'd be like, oh, no, not for you.
Did you ever run into people who would see that you're spreading the word of the Lord? And
no, we never got busted.
Even by locals, no one would contest it?
No.
Like, what do they practice?
No, people, it was like smoke. We arrived there as tourists.
You never spoke directly to people.
No, fuck no.
You just tossed them pamphlets. Okay.
So that's why we did it.
That's so weirdly sneaky.
Yeah, you have to.
Is it successful? I guess.
We don't know. Right? It's
are
you trusting numbers out of China? Would you trust any there's 6 more Christianity has risen?
No, I would trust that some facts are true. I think any facts that makes the government
religion when it's illegal, we're not going to know. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to look.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. People make predictions though.
I'm sure
they have models and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Look, we put a lot out. I'm sure it maybe helped one person. Yeah.
That's what I've always wondered is how, because when you're on a missionary trip, when I think about missionaries, I tend to think of the older ones.
I do too, robes.
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
In Latin America.
Yeah. White people going into getting shot because it's who are you? You're a strange.
Right.
Tribes.
Yeah.
It is essentially.
Did you hear about that missionary? There's a little island off the coast of India, Sentinel Island.
Yeah,
missionary.
I know the story.
Yeah, a missionary landed there, and
these people need Jesus.
Yeah,
these people were we need.
I think he was alone, and they killed him. Yeah,
yeah, they were, and they paraded his body on his head on a spike.
Yeah,
on
they're
the
watching this from a helicopter.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. It was just these people need God, and they're like. It's man, yeah. That's one thing I'll say. It's one of the things.
Just a blind faith.
Is just it's just it's an inflated ego of Christianity means I can get away with everything, or if I fuck up, it's forgiven. It's just
you have the sense that God's really got your back.
God's with me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It depends on who you are. It's not really how it works, or if you're religious, how you know what I mean. It's just it's a bad fallback that people like to use, and it's.
Well, that's okay. So I guess that's the one thing about religion, because I used to go to church until I was 17, 18-ish, and then I stopped as soon as I could.
When you were allowed.
Yeah, and I thought it was stupid, and I the way my church in particular, I had a girlfriend who she was Catholic, so I attended a few Catholic masses too. They're a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
My church tended to be more. It was a feel good experience, and it seemed to be more emphasis on the community.
That's good.
Maybe which is honestly what church is primarily about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't until I don't know, I left the religion. I wasn't really religious to begin with, but I left the religion, didn't come back to it till I was 24. I didn't come back to it, but
You revisited.
I revisited the ideas that are held within church. There's this guy online, Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he actually, he's a professor or was a professor at the University of Toronto. But he actually grew up in, I'm going to butcher this, is it not Clearwater, but Fairview, Alberta, I think. And that's like 4 hours. It's kind of under the Arctic Circle. Like it's way up north. And he went to a United Church, which was my branch.
Right.
Ours was also a United Church, but in Ardrossan. And so anyway, he did a series of lectures one summer where he goes through the Bible stories and breaks it down from a psychological framework. So he does an analysis that isn't dogmatic, or he's not saying like, and then the Lord said, and then like taking it literally. He's going like, okay, the people who wrote this,
Meant.
The idea of like the apple in the Garden of Eden. Like his analysis of that would be like this was like the deal with God, and you could frame God in multiple ways. Like some people see God as this patriarchal figure, other people see God as
like a poor person.
Yeah, or maybe just like the nature of the universe itself. You could call God, right? And then that's sort of a tie-in with people who are, say, scientifically minded and study physics can still have this abstraction of like an analog to a religious God without becoming dogmatic to it. It's just a framework to help people live the best lives. And I know there's a million caveats and like little arguments to be made against that, because obviously many people have died by the name of
In
God.
the name of well, just religion,
just
in general.
any religion.
Makes me think of like like Beowulf.
Yep.
Like this, like the story of Beowulf, right?
Yeah.
It's like the we don't know.
He was a king, right?
Well, so so it's an Old English. It's written in Old English. So every iteration that we know, that the movie or the books that you've read, is literally people kind of guessing. So that like, because the Old English language is like the words, and I don't know a lot about it, but it's essentially people read it and it's like, I think this is what they meant by this.
Right.
Because, and it's the same thing what you were saying. It's like, thinking back to the Old English days, this word now means this, but this word back then may have meant this.
Right.
But it's like guessing.
Yeah.
And everyone that's written it, even the experts of like Beowulf historians, even them who have written it and whatever, that's still their guess and their kind of summary of what they think it was about. But the same, it's a guy.
It's because the language has been, we're basically still cavemen when, whoever was writing Beowulf.
Right. Well, so a theory is that
it's a different language, essentially.
Well, it is, and it's like an interpretive, like, and no one speaks it now, right? So it's just like you have to guess it. But apparently, the version I like is, I can't remember the author's name. There was a lady that like wrote her own version, and that I need to read the book and I need to shout it, whatever. But it's like a pub story that's just been told over generations of generations. And because there's like a narrator in it, right? It's like narrated, or it's like the poet who's writing it is also in it, sort of thing.
Right.
And so her interpretation was like, it's like the guy standing up on a table at a pub being like, "This be the story of Beowulf," and like telling it. But then there's like historians who are like, "No, it is a noble play, like done in high courts."
You canonize it and put it into writing, and
so it's just like it's your choice, right? It's just like, and I think the Bible could
that's
be
mythology, right? So like you can abstract, and say the modern day Bible or religion in a lot of ways is like the cinematic universes, like Marvel
it could be, absolutely.
In a way, like I'm not saying Marvel holds the same significance.
I know what you're saying,
but it's a structure
with
that
1,000 years
people.
apart.
Yeah, and you have these heroes, right? Because like most religions, all religions that I know of have these hero archetypes throughout
Hercules.
it, right? Yeah. And this is part of the analysis, that psychological analysis. Is
right.
we do have these archetypes in society, right? Like we you can point to people's stories and be like, oh, like that.
Yeah. History repeats.
Someone said like history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, right?
Oh,
like
I get it.
there's
Yeah.
kind of
That's cool. I like that saying.
yeah. So anyway, but yeah, like Marvel Cinematic. I don't know.
what you mean, like-
Do you think because like neither of us are religious right now.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't know if you are, but like do you think it's important?
Religion?
Yeah. Do you think it has a place?
Yes, it has a place because it has. I kind of see it like a placebo effect in some ways. Like if someone's like looking for a family or like looking for someone, like some people have had rough fucking lives and never been loved. If you walk into a church, like dude, people are lovely. They will shower you and like, hey, like if you're like down in your luck, they're like, hey, stay with me. Like they're good.
Welcome to the community.
Yeah, some people do it with good intentions. Some not so much. But I'm just saying, like, it definitely has a place. I think.
Yeah.
It definitely helps people, but it's not for everyone.
No, definitely not. I don't know. It's such a hard question to answer because I think what religion facilitates is a lot of community, a lot of. Have you ever heard the phrase "God is dead"? It's Nietzsche said it. It's like early 20th century philosopher, but he basically was commenting on a cultural shift that happened around the time when industrialization took hold. People started viewing the world on very rational terms, and like think about all the technology that in the last 121 years that has taken place. Like it's been the largest, most exponential growth in human history over 121 years. So during that time, a lot of people fell away from church, right? They, this is during the space race, like there was the Russian Revolution. So people were shunning the church and we're in search of a new way of living. So communism in the Soviet Union, among other things, like also capitalism. Well, think about like capitalism over the last 100 years. Think about like 1980s Wall Street. Like that's a very godless society, I guess you could say. Like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
like that kind of person.
Man.
Yeah, it's like that people like that have been completely disconnected from the community.
There's more of them now than ever. But.
Yeah, and I'd say what church facilitates, those people, and they're going to completely disagree with me on that because then they'll say like, "Oh, I'm going to lose my edge. I won't be able to make money." But also, I don't think church would ever work on a person like that. Maybe psychedelics. I feel like psychedelics, you can also have religious experiences.
Yeah. I just call it like, I think there's a difference between like spiritual and like religious. I don't know. I feel like I'm spiritual.
Fair enough.
Religious, I don't know. That's a stretch for me. Religious. My problem is like church and religion are two different things, and they are.
Are they?
Oh, I think so. Very much. Like I've been in churches that like you hear like what's going on behind like literally behind like closed doors of the church. It's like it's disgusting. Like it's,
the child touching.
So that is just one.
Catholicism.
That's like sure. Let's just
say
what
else happens?
The Catholics is that people sleeping, like people cheating on their husband, like everyone. I have a real problem with people who get up and like speak. If you get up on a stage in church and you choose to speak, you best have a fucking clean record. Like, in my opinion. Or you've had you were someone in the past and since this point on, you've found God and you preach that. That's fine.
Be an example.
Be an example. But the amount of times that I have been to churches or I've had people preach to me and get up that I'm like, well, I know that you fucked that guy's wife. I know that you sucked like his dick and you're married and he's married and like everyone here's married.
So don't
tell
fucking
me
I'm sinning. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
As I mentioned before, that when I was, I think I was like 19 when I went back to church, right?
Yeah.
When I was like religious again for a long time. Like for six to 8 months, I was like, oh, I think I can do
Not
this.
that long of a time.
It's not that long of a time, but from someone who like shunned religion, and this was my like, I was a little bit lost in life, and I was like, let's give it a go. Like, let's give it a crack.
Yeah.
So I went back to that church, and it was like a much younger church, and I liked it. I really liked it, and I didn't know anyone's history. Like, I didn't know anyone, and it was really good. And eventually, and like at the time, like I was like drinking, partying, having a lot of sex out of marriage.
You're having your...
And then when I joined this church, that was my like, all right, I'm going to stop doing that. Give it a go. And I did. Like I like kind of stopped. I still drunk, but like I stopped like sleeping when I was just like, and I was kind of living what I like relatively by the Bible, I guess, for that 6 months.
Yeah.
And I got invited to a party with like a bunch of these young people as well. And I just went there, and everyone was just like fucking and doing drugs. And so I'm just like, and that was the moment for me that I was just like, oh, this is a fucking fast, dude. Like, and then you know,
human
I found
nature
out things
is human nature, man.
later. Yeah. And
yeah.
there's wives sleeping with husbands, there's husbands sleeping with wives.
Sake,
And it's just like, oh, and that's one church I went, that happened with like 3 churches in my experience.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, having met religious people and grown up with religious people, there is a certain level of repression. And this is where I think the Protestant church got it right. I don't know if it was just my specific church, or if you went to a different Protestant church, if there'd be, you know, affairs and shit. But mine was super tame. A lot of farm families. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I just feel like rural people...
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah. I feel like rural people don't cheat as much. I'm not saying it's impossible.
I mean, they have lack of choices, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I got distracted by this fucking crazy ass thing. But yeah, like Catholic, like Catholic girls, you know, the stereotype.
Yeah. No.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'll just say it. It's true. Like I think when you hammer the fear of God into somebody,
it makes things naughty.
Yeah.
It does, dude.
It makes people horny.
Oh, I can't have that. I want it.
Exactly. Yes. Being told what not to do. You're unintentionally creating kinks.
Yeah, dude.
In people.
Yeah. It's yeah. So
that's what a kink is, in a sense. It's like something that's kind of taboo.
Yeah.
Or outside of the realm.
Standards.
Yeah. Outside of the realm of like, I guess.
Kinks is something you like.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just something you like. And if someone else thinks it's weird, they'll call it a kink on your behalf. You know?
What do you mean? Like
if I like something,
yeah.
To me, it's just something like, oh, I really like doing that.
Right.
To you, you're like, that's weird. It's a kink. Like, you don't call your own things kink. You just like things, and other people can label them kinks if they think it's weird.
If it's,
you know,
that's probably a good way to do it. Yeah.
So
yeah.
It is what it
I
is.
think so. But like, you're not supposed to kink shame people, though.
Oh, I don't at all. No.
You don't?
Kink shame? Nah.
Really?
Nah, man.
You don't think there's any kink worth shaming?
I mean, if it's legal, and there's 2 consenting adults, then no, I think kinks are fine. You shit on someone's chest? Yeah, dude, go for it.
What about?
I don't want to happen. I don't want it, but yeah, shit on her chest, shit on his chest. Yeah, I don't care. I don't think. Do you kink shame?
I don't actively kink shame, but I will say, like, there are certain things where I look at people and I'm like, really?
Like what things?
I don't know, like dressing up like a baby. You know, having like the chick like nurse him, and it's just fucking weird. Like Freudian. That's Freudian, you know? It's just like this subconscious thing where it's like, okay.
But then like
it like what you do behind closed doors is none of my business. You're right. So I'm like, if I find out about your kink, you fucked up.
Well, no. Why should they hide their kink from you?
Why?
Because you've deemed it unacceptable. Like, that's not right. You've deemed.
So I'm the bad guy.
You've put shame on them. They're not putting shame on themselves.
No, I just go, that's fucking weird, man. Like.
But that's also your call. But don't shame. Yeah, man.
Okay, I don't actually shame people. I don't go up to people and.
You can say that's weird.
I don't gossip about other people's kinks. Well, to be honest with you, maybe because people aren't going to tell me because they know. They know
that you're ashamed of kinks. Yeah. But back to religion. That's what I was saying about. You asked what? Oh, there's a difference between church and religion. I made myself
the bad guy there. And
that's fine. We can move on from it. That's what I mean. Why I think there's a difference from church is one thing, and the people. I think religion is literally is the me, like just say me and whatever God I pray to. That's religion.
Okay.
That's it. Just like a one-on-one, or if your religion has multiple gods, you and multiple gods,
Okay.
whatever it is, that's religion
So
to
the
me.
direct relationship with the
Like
higher
your
power.
relationship. I don't care about other people's. Like
Yeah.
your relationship. The church is like, hey, like what do we? So you're singing. Okay, I sing. Oh, you think that's bad? I think that's bad. Like we've both got the same rule book, the
There's a
Bible.
lot of- yeah.
Like it's all interpretation. Why are you asking the next person to interpret something? Interpret it yourself. Pick up the Bible.
Yeah.
Make what you make of it, because it's all an interpretation. The guy that's
That's
up there
all it
preaching
is.
to you, he's just like, it's like Beowulf. It's like, I think this is what it means to me.
It's a dialogue. That's what
Yeah.
church is it creates a dialogue.
People take it as like, you read the book, you make your own decision. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Don't listen to other people. It's literally an interpretation.
That's fascinating.
Don't take someone else's interpretation.
I have to say though, like the people who wrote the Bible, some of those stories like excuse me, like some of those stories really outline very it in a lot of ways it's
Just shuffle down your seat a little bit so I can't see graphics going over your head. Better.
we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck, every time I look at that screen I get amnesia.
Well, just don't look at it.
It's so distracting.
Just chill,
Anyway,
bro.
what was I gonna say?
Something about...
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, like the people who wrote the Bible,
Oh, yeah.
it and the Quran and the whatever the Hindu one is, like it.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is the Hindu one? So whatever
let
the
me
Hindu.
know, yeah, I don't know.
It's not offensive.
It's not.
offensive to say Hindu.
It's not. It's not.
So like, I feel like it. It kind of covers. It's like the human experience in a book, in a lot of ways. I
Yeah.
think that's.
I mean,
You
think
know,
about it,
there's
right?
some crazy ass stories in there, but
But it
there's
was
like,
all written by a person, a human being.
I think it was a council or like it was multiple people throughout the
It's
ages.
humans. It's multiple humans.
It was passed down, yeah.
Have
Obviously.
interpreted something, and you're interpreting their interpretation.
Right.
So take it with a grain of salt.
And even the book is an interpretation.
The book is an
on-
interpretation of someone else's interpretation that
Yeah.
was written on stones, which
That-
was someone else's
It was,
interpretation from
it was
God.
an oral. I think it was like
It's
a
literally-
Mesopotamian.
yeah, dude. It's like 5 different interpretations.
I think Christianity came from Mesopotamia, and before that, it was like an oral tradition.
Who knows, man? It's
Yeah. 'Cause,
everything
like,
started as an oral tradition. You know what I mean?
yeah. But like,
no
these
one
are,
can.
These are some of our like most ancient stories.
Yeah, but
which is
that's their
fascinating.
stories.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're stories.
You have to.
But it's fascinating because like even a story, even a fictional story, like the best ones, like think of like George Orwell, right?
Oh, like they can definitely like mean
Like
something to you.
1984 is like more real. Like
No, I know
it's
what
a
you mean.
real thing.
Fiction can move you. It can make you emotional. It can
Yeah.
change your life. Yeah.
But what do you think like separates the Bible from just like another fiction, like a superhero movie?
Time. Just
Time.
repetition over and interpretation over interpretation over interpretation. That's
Yeah,
all
but
it is.
what do you think is the run-on effect in your like real life, not at church? Like what?
Of the Bible?
Like does it have any? You obviously considered going back to it. I don't know.
Oh,
if you
like
were,
now, like do I live my life with any religious?
just like any like I have a few like
I feel like I'm to people. I'm nice in most situations.
uh-huh.
I think I'm giving. I feel like I'm very sharing. Like I think I'm just a decent human being. I hope.
Yeah,
But I don't
but like
know.
obviously you can be an amazing human being and be atheist. Obviously,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know that there's certain like certain stories. Sorry to go back to your point for a second,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, like I'd say you get imbued with certain values.
Yeah.
Depends,
I mean,
on your family.
The Bible is
Obviously.
like 10% of it. Like
Yeah.
there's religious people who go to church every day who are horrible parents and beat their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, by
don't
just
give the
being
church that much
present-
credit.
Yeah. It's on the person. The onus is on the person to change. But like, I think the church can provide a space for people to be reflective of themselves. Obviously, there are like just because you go to church doesn't by definition make you a good person. Obviously,
You need,
there are
but a
tons
lot
of terrible people that go to church.
But a lot of people like do feel like they walk through those doors
Yeah.
and it's like a slate wiped clean of them
Yeah.
being terrible all week.
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
Do you know what? I think religion is good for is everybody needs in their life to feel humbled by something, because I think a lot of the issues in the world are people taking their egos. They call it different things, but at its core, they're taking their ego and they're putting it as the highest value thing to pursue in their life, is to, travel the world. I mean, like, you want to live a good life, you want to live a happy life, but it's like to put yourself as the measurement. I think you're not realizing how much of a good life is based around community and like giving back to the people and trying to create like a good society. I think where religion does do good is people who take it seriously anyway, is they have this thing of greater importance than themselves, and that you could call it like God, whatever. That's a double-edged sword, because like you can have dogmatic religious people who are just like they're literalists and they're fundamentalists. But you can, I think if you live your life as if there was a God, as if there was
Like consequences.
Yeah, and like philosophical consequences.
I just feel like, imagine like the purge is like, oh, there's no laws. Like imagine, I don't know. It's interesting. I see what you're saying. I think it definitely puts some people puts a cap of like responsibility, like accountability.
Yeah.
Especially if they believe in hell and like all of that, and they believe in God. Yeah, I'm sure it would stop them from being shittier people. I'm sure there's a lot of shitty people that want to be shittier who go to church.
Be shittier?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. You don't think there's like married husbands out there who have been married for 40 years? Like, God, I want to fuck my young secretary, but
of course,
that's I'm not going to do it because I'm a religious man. Yeah, of course, it's like a cap.
Well,
it's
that's
an
the
accountability.
repression. But you know what happens when you repress feelings and emotions?
Don't cheat on your wives, but go on.
Yeah, but when you repress it on the grounds of like hell or something intense like that, is you become, it's like a pressure cooker, right? Like the pressure builds up. There's no vent. Like, I don't know what you would do if you wanted to cheat on your wife, but like maybe
I don't.
Maybe go on a porn site, like just like live your fantasy out.
No, but you can't
through porn.
masturbate.
No, but that's yeah.
I
think like,
you know what I mean. It's just if you live like by that Bible, that's a shit life. Like fuck that. Like it's like, okay, you're not going to masturbate. Okay, and that's the funny thing. The Bible, there's so many contradictions. People that wear jewelry, if you're religious and you wear jewelry, you're going against the Bible.
Well, not how my religion interpreted the Bible.
Not exactly, right? But no, if you're a Christian and the Bible, like there's literally, that's their excuse, right? Like everything. Well, that's not my interpretation. Right. Okay, well, then homosexuals should be able to get married. That's the wrong interpretation. Wait, hang on. I thought this thing was subjective. Is it subjective where you can make shit up, or can gay people get married?
No, people need to go like think on it on like the base, like first principles level. It's a book that has a historical context. So it was written in a time when homosexuality was illegal, when you could get stoned to death for it.
It wasn't there was lots of homosexual relationships back then.
But like you get killed.
Well, in that specific part of Israel, like
but that's
the rest of the world, like
no.
In
but
Greece.
I'm saying you don't be like, oh, do I have to take it literally? Do I have to take it figuratively? Like yes to both. Right?
No,
you have to take it literally, but put yourself in the position of the person.
That's what I'm
writing
saying.
it.
I'm saying people who like, let's just use like America as an example, right?
Yeah.
Like very religious, a lot of Christians.
Yeah.
When they read the Bible, they think it takes place in America. Like, you know what I mean? Like they need to realize that like, okay, the homosexuality thing, like everywhere else in the world was having like Greece, like everywhere. There was gay people sleeping everywhere, man. There was no
modern times.
But like in this specific Middle Eastern country, that's where the Bible's from.
Yes.
For those people in Western, like that's where it was written.
Jesus wasn't white.
Jesus was not white. At that point, homosexuality was not good. That doesn't mean people in America were like, see, homosexuality is wrong. Like, okay, in Middle East it was like at that time.
That's
it's
fundamentalism.
Not anywhere else.
Yeah.
Why are you ignoring that? Like, as you said, you need to like put it in perspective. Be like, this was written in a specific time, specific place. You don't have to have those views.
I would say, I would say that fundamentalists like that make up.
It's them being shit people. They know They just don't like gay people.
they're
They know
using-
that.
Obviously,
Because
but like what percentage of the population in North America, in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't want to say like Muslim fundamentalists because that's a whole nother kettle of fish,
Right.
But like Christian fundamentalists, how like what percentage of the population of the Christian population?
I have no idea.
Like, do you think at 1%, a quarter? Like, I have no idea. In my
hard
gut,
because
I feel
it's
like
the vocal minority probably half the time, right?
that's what I think it is a
probably.
lot of the time.
I think
I'm not-
most Christians in the world are very nice people. Most.
Yeah.
It goes for
with
everyone.
most people in the world.
in the world are very nice people.
Right.
Yeah, it's the 1%ers that are usually the most vocal, and that's who you hear from the most.
Yeah. I
And
guess
they're
that
usually
is the one.
dumbest.
That's the one negative. Not the one. There's many negative legacies that Christianity's left behind. But fundamentalists is like, how do you even deal with that?
You can't argue it.
You have to almost get rid of religion, and then create some sort of infrastructure that replaces the church.
Yeah.
know.
And the separation of church and state, that's another whole bag of fish.
Yeah.
Not as bad here, but in Australia, it's
Is it still bad?
bad. Gay marriage wasn't legalized till 2018 in Australia.
Really?
When did I leave? Yeah, dude, it was like late 2017. I think it might have been.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's just like because we had a prime minister. It got put up. Prime minister was like, "Oh, I'm religious, so I'm gonna vote no. I support everyone, but I'm gonna vote no against my
Is that
beliefs."
Tony Abbott?
Yeah, fuck Tony Abbott. It's just bullshit, man. It's just like you see it in America. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but like, even in over in the UK, it's just like God and Queen, and it's like not everyone's Christian that lives in that country, dude. You can't be doing Christian beliefs in your government. Stop.
Yeah. No,
Like,
that
it's
that
so
needs to
multicultural.
stop.
It has to stop.
It
has to.
it's irrational to mix the
It's
two.
like we're not in the 1700s. Like
Yeah,
you look around,
100%.
like not everyone's white, not everyone is a Christian.
Yeah.
So many different religions living. So if you're like,
Exactly. No, you
horrible.
can't
It's horrible.
represent, you can't interface with reality and react to real things through the lens of sorry, I gotta rethink what I was about to say, because I think in your personal life
Mm-hmm.
you can take things from religion and apply them in a positive way, right?
Sure, yeah,
if you
yeah.
take it seriously, you can do that.
or if you
But-
just pick the parts that make sense.
yeah, but when you scale that up to the level of a state, to
Mm-hmm.
a government, it doesn't make sense to look at the world, because it's this pseudo, like they're looking at the world through rational, like industrial terms, like
They're looking at it through their own eyes.
but they're using science to, extract resources to like create industry and keep the economy going. So on one hand, you have the government, utilizing, like modern day technology and like thinking. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh, some fictional or some man in the sky said, being gay is,
It's dumb.
sinful. Yeah.
dumb.
It doesn't make any sense.
like, okay, cool. That's your opinion. That's great. You don't like it. That's fine. Push it forward to the
Yeah.
people that need to vote for it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't like it. You represent us.
Yeah.
You don't represent yourself when you're a president or a prime minister. You represent the people. So I don't care if you disagree. And we had a census. So it was like 85% of Australia was like, yeah, we want gay marriage. Even then, it was like, oh, nah, I'm Christian, so I can't.
remember that,
It's
yeah.
like, fuck you, I don't care.
Yeah.
80%,
Yeah.
you represent 85, like 100% of us, and 85% of us want it. So fuck what you, like, I
Yeah.
don't care what you think. I hate it, man. And then how are we going to get other people of other races, religions in these positions while it's a predominantly, like, Christian system?
Well, it's a it's a self-correcting, like obviously it's designed to keep Christian people
Yeah,
in,
it's fucking
in
stupid.
power. Yeah.
So that's if we slowly strip Christianity back and make it not a fucking part of it.
Sure.
Like I don't know. There's just so many things that I don't know. Like other religions couldn't do. Like I'm not even gonna start. But you know what I mean. Like there's just so
Yeah.
many things. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if they're holding a Senate on like a sacred day to a religion or prayer times for Muslims. Like can they halfway through a Senate be like, it's prayer time. Like let's stop. Like they wouldn't do that because it's a Christian. They'll be like, I wouldn't have the prayer. Like you know what I mean. You got to strip Christianity out of the government. And then I think you'll really start to see like these other ethnic groups and religions really like as it should be. Like the world in 40, 50 years It's gonna be fucking multi-race. Like everyone's, it's just gonna be. I can't wait, man.
You can't wait for that.
I'm so sick of white people.
Oh shit! You
Like,
moved to the wrong country.
I know.
Yeah.
Nah, I moved to the better country for it.
I mean, yeah, white people have their white people are crazy, man. That's a conversation for another time.
It
but
is,
like,
man. It is, but
yeah, we can talk. Yeah, let's talk about white people.
I'm mad at everyone. It's literally
We're
like
about
giving me a
50
bad
minutes
name.
in, so
Hey,
we're about 50 minutes in.
it's not bad.
Let's talk about white people in another episode.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
See you guys.